Daniel Salazar is alive in a frankly uneven episode that tracks his journey from not burning to death down at the ranch into running into Strand here at the dam. And kind of pretty much what immediately follows after that. It's Fear the Walking Dead, Season 3, Episode 4, 100. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Fear the Walking Dead. So yes, of course, lots of spoilers starting now. Alright, so like I was saying, I felt this was a relatively uneven episode. There was some really interesting points, and then there were some just kind of snoozery, boring, massive coincidence saving, I felt honestly lazy writing. So kind of a mixed bag this week. Now we do have Ruben Blades back as Daniel Salazar. So that is awesome. He is a fabulous actor. He is a great presence. It is good to have another one of our original characters back, considering that we just killed off Travis and the rest of the Manawa family over this past season. So it's good to have at least some people back and alive. But this episode, like I said, it didn't totally grab me, and it kind of really gives itself forward at the very beginning. We have, of course, Daniel just wandering down the street, kind of like a walker, encounters one, and it was honestly kind of an amusing beginning. The very slow chase with the wounded man followed by the walker up the street. Supposed to be, I know, gripping, but the slow movement of both sides just to me honestly seemed kind of funny. His attempted escape underneath the truck and then kind of being saved by a dog. Dog ech machina. Pulling away the walker, which allowed his escape. Though he didn't move anywhere. He just sort of fell asleep underneath the van. The walker didn't come back, but that's where he then sort of run into Ephraim. And this is what I'm saying is, I'm laughing about dog ech machina, but that really is the continual theme throughout this. There is a lot of amazing coincidental salvations that come up throughout this episode that are really just, they beg the edge of believability. They get a little bit too far. And like I said, a lot of back and forth. We start when we save Ephraim. They're all quiet, we get the water, that's smart, but then they pile into the little tuk-tuk, turn on the radio, and start blasting bizarre sounds while avoiding walkers. So now you're drawing walkers to you, and yet when they get to Lola and the doctors and everyone else there, then they're supposed to be quiet because they're being hunted by the dam crew. And then they're making noise again after when Salazar starts screaming. Of course, he's getting his leg cut, but he wasn't even trying not to scream. It was just, again, believable stuff, not believable stuff. You're making noise in walkers, and then you got to be quiet so nobody finds you. It's just, it really started to get really frustrating for me and really just separated me from a lot of some of the cooler moments within the show. And principally, first off there, I'm talking about the scene between Ephraim and Daniel there kind of at the end of their day, when they're kind of having just a nice little moment together. I love that Ephraim very immediately notes the fact that, like, what time are you planning on leaving when I'm asleep? That he can already read that Daniel is someone that is in the moment to run, that he is ready to go. Whereas Daniel offering to cut Ephraim's hair, it was just perfect. That is his job. And, you know, how often do you get to do those types of when you get to really practice your trade in that sense? His newer trade, not his older trade, which he gets to later on in the show. But I thought that was just, it was very humanistic. And in fact, and then once Daniel starts getting into his story and telling about what happened leaving and the fire and that he had lost his mind, I mean, that was beautiful. It was powerful. And honestly, it was that moment that I realized the entire episode so far had been in Spanish. I'm used to reading subtitles. I watch a lot of foreign films. But it was really, I mean, it's perfect, it's appropriate, it's a language of the area, they're in Mexico, very appropriate. But even the fact that in some ways I couldn't understand what Daniel was saying, I don't speak Spanish, all of the emotions, all of his story was coming out. I was distracted by the subtitles in some points because there was so much emotion, there was so much strength that was coming through that character, and that quest and that urging for forgiveness, I thought was astounding. And it was really just an incredibly powerful scene. It was beautiful. Ephraim kind of falling asleep at the end of it, though, really, I think, undercut the value of the scene. He didn't seem that drunk. It's not that he can't finish that sentence. It was such a powerful moment, and I get why they ended it there, because we're not giving Daniel answers. That's sort of the continual theme throughout this, that not getting the forgiveness. But I thought the way they did it kind of undercut the scene. And then they go from there to Daniel, of course, heading back out on his own at night with walkers. It seemed really dumb, asking to die. And it's that, of course, at the end of that scene, he was asking to die. He did get down on the knees. Okay, I'm done praying to Mother Mary, and then boom, lightning strike saves him. Which, again, he's praying, so there's the religious overtones that are to that, which I don't necessarily mind, except from a physics standpoint, he was practically under a bridge. It was definitely not the high point. It was, in fact, the low point, which is not where lightning strikes. So from a physics standpoint, that's not where it was. You can add the religious element to it, but then you have, again, the Deus Ex Machina. Literally, God saved him. Is he on that type of mission? Is that the sort of redemptive quality of that? That could be debated, but in a show kind of dealing about walkers and humanity surviving through it, that's just kind of a stretch. And then here, of course, coincidence plays another hand as he gets washed up in the drainage by the crew that is being run by Lola, who is the doctor that scraped his leg. So now he is in at the dam, where he eventually runs into Strand. Now again, Daniel in this, he's smart, he's dumb. I think for the most part, he's trying to play the characters as best as he can, in the sense that he is in a tough position, certainly falling back into old habits, old patterns, easily, quickly recognized by Dante, which I thought was another good, powerful scene, talking about to his man CJ about reading people properly. It seemed for a moment that Dante actually knew Salazar from San Salvador. I don't think that's the case, because he kept throwing out different titles. Is it sergeant? Is it lieutenant? I think he recognized that he was military, recognized his demeanor as a badass, and that's what clued him in to go and look. And because he knew about, which was the comment back to JC about you have to read. I think he was reading people, but is also reading and increasing your knowledge. When he saw the tattoo on the tongue, it looked like a snake there, for Salazar's old Black Ops unit. I think that's where he went on. So, in some way, I like Dante there as a reader of people and opening up. Those scenes were all, I thought, well done. And I understand Salazar's position later on about kind of being caught in the middle of trying not to get himself killed, definitely trying to stay alive to potentially find Ophelia, but also trying not to stab people in the back that took care of him. So I understood the difficulties of the position that he was in. The fact that when he did get pulled on a run to go and try and find the water thief, that they happened to, at that point, invade Ephraim's place, find the fountain, and be there exactly on Thursday at 5 p.m. when the water comes off. Again, these are the coincidences. Did he have to let Ephraim, sort of like clue Ephraim in on that in order to draw them away from the fountain? Could he have said he saw something and start chasing off, potentially drag people out there? He just needs them for a few minutes before the water itself gets shut off. So I don't always totally agree with the decisions there that were made. And then when he runs into Strand finally, okay, I got that. I understand more, at least why I was upset with them. We see the rest of the conversation there, where Strand is offering to bring Ophelia back. He knows the truth, and he does. He pushes it that far when he says, and she's waiting for you. At that point, I knew it. I even made a jot in my notes. I was like, he's went too far. And that's where Salazar puts him out. So I get the dynamic between the two of them. I can see him being upset that he runs into Strand thinking that he might help him find Ophelia, and then finds out that Strand is again just lying to him, just manipulating until it's not a whole truth. Strand should have been a little bit more honest with him. He owed Salazar that. But again, at least that explains why he was upset with him there. And then, of course, we have the final scene up on the edge of the dam where we have the red shirt get tossed over just to give us that moment of thinking, how far is Daniel going to go? But, of course, he's tried to be protective of Lola this entire episode. You could say that in some ways she is sort of a replacement for Ophelia at the moment, kind of a daughter replacement. That could be why he is extra protective of her, and then goes and takes Strand and JC and everybody else, or not Strand, Dante and JC and everyone else out, boom, and now they're saved. And we have again that final shot of asking for forgiveness. Again, repeats constantly throughout this episode. We have Daniel looking for forgiveness for his past sins. In some ways, that's why he set the fire. That was the whole ghosts haunting him. So I was kind of hoping that he would be past that point, but hopefully this will sort of straighten things up. So now I believe he's just going to leave these people in the dust, get in the car with Strand, and then head off into the distance to try and find Ophelia and finish off what his real mission is. All right, just a few small things here. One, the episode title, 100, obviously dealing with a number of people that by episode end, Daniel Salazar is killed. When he was telling Ephraim the story about how many people he killed, of course he knows how many. He is being tortured by all of this. It's not too many to count, as he mentions later on when he's talking to Dante. He knows exactly how many, 96. And when he said 96, I was like, okay, so a few more. That's going to be 100. So the other 4 were, of course, on top of the dam. We had the red shirt, who was working for Lola, the messenger pigeon who got tossed over the edge at first. Nasty hit there at the pipe at the bottom. Ow! Then there was JC, the other guard, and then Dante. 4 more people, 96 and 4. There is your 100. Now, I know Daniel was supposed to be a big torture extractor of information. We have covered that in the show before. But that he leads off his torturing in front of Dante with just some punches to the face, saying, "You're going to tell me?" It seemed like a weak opening. That was exactly what Dante was doing when he walked in. And then just hurting pressure points, something interesting, more imaginative threats. I don't know. And of course, I am assuming that nobody else heard the little conversation that they had, even though everyone else was about 3.5, 5 feet away. They all speak Spanish. All right, so I think that's going to wrap things up for this week. It's good to have Daniel back. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited that he is there. Ruben Blades is an amazing actor. He had some great scenes in this episode. Just this writing by coincidence just to me feels really weak. And they're already dealing with problems that everybody all sort of spread out to get some cohesive storylines going. I'm concerned about this lack of focus. That's all. All right, so, like I said, that's going to be it for this week. If you did enjoy this review, please hit that like button. Thoughts, comments, what did you guys think? Did you think it was awesome? Am I entirely crazy, or are you getting a little upset with the direction this show is going? I don't know. Throw those down in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, okay? You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm always at Darren Jakes. But also, please be sure, if you are not, to be a subscriber. And I will throw up our latest review for the season finale of American Gods right here. Don't miss that. It's an awesome show. All right, so that's going to be it. I am D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.